All right, guys, welcome to another set review. Yeah, that's what these are. Set review video. I'm joined, as always, with my good partner here, Dean. You want to say hi?
What's going on, guys?
And this time around, we have a special guest here. He's been around. I think you were on the last set review too, right, Pressure?
Yeah, on
We're
Uma, yeah.
the chaotic one.
Yeah, that was pretty chaotic.
Oh yeah, that one was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We invited him back
Howdy.
here. Yep. I don't want to have as chaotic one as last time, so we're gonna kind of limit to like 3 people total, and like we'll cycle some people out. Dean, unfortunately, is going to Japan soon. I don't know if he'll be here to finish it out completely, but we're gonna try to get it all done with Dean. If not, we'll substitute Dean at some point. But other than that, I guess we'll get into Flame of Leviathan, which comes out in when does this come out? Like in
January or February 2nd.
Like the weekend of Worlds, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So in a little less than 2 weeks when this video drops. So the first things first, normally we start with Forest, but we kind of talked it over before we started recording. We think that neutral is very key to a lot of the things like you potentially could be doing in this set. So we're just going to start with neutral first, so we kind of have that as a baseline, and then we're going to go back all the way to Forest and work our way through all the crafts. First things first here, I guess I'll start it off. We got our first follower here, Alice Wonderland Explorer. It's a 3-drop 3/3 Fairy Tale. It evolves for 1. It has Fanfare. Put a Fairy Tale counter on this card. And then it has an effect, Activate. Remove a Fairy Tale counter from this card. Choose a Fairy Tale follower from your field or your EX area and put a Fairy Tale counter on it. And then the Evo form on Evo is look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put up to 2 Fairy Tale cards from among them into your EX area. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then activate once again, remove a Fairy Tale counter from this card, choose a Fairy Tale follower from your field or your EX area, and put a Fairy Tale counter on it. So I don't have the robust knowledge of this set completely because a lot of this is going to be the first time I'm reading it. My understanding is that Fairy Tale counters are really important, and it seems like this is like a Fairy Tale set, so there's going to be a lot of Fairy Tale followers. So Alice looks like right now off the top is just a potential +2 on Evo, and then you have ways to manipulate Fairy Tale counters. I think maybe Pressure or Dean, you have like better insight than I do, possibly.
Yeah, she's definitely the engine of, I would say, like half of the cards that are in this set. A couple of the classes pretty much are completely designed around Fairy Tale cards, and we'll see them soon. And a lot of them say, hey, I need a Fairy Tale token to do the thing I need to do for it to be a good card. So it's really good that this is a cheaper card, right? This is like the 3-mana 3/3 Evo sort of type of card that we've seen before, like floral and stuff. So obviously, when you're competing with cards like that, it has to be pretty good. It is pretty good because on Evo you draw 2 cards, and they go in the EX area, which some other cards need to be in the EX area for, which we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, 4 mana Advent Blader. Just think about that. It's an Advent Blader that's 1 mana cheaper.
Well, that's a
You think about it because you top like 4.
Yeah, it's not you don't get the perfect search, but you get like turn on 1 turn sooner. And I assume if you're playing, obviously, Alice, you should be hitting Fairy Tale followers consistently. So it's always a +2, it feels like, right? Card seems very solid. Very. If I remember from match videos too, this card came up a lot very often. But back then when I was watching videos, I wasn't as engrossed in knowing every card effect. And I know this is a card that comes up a lot in Egghaven as well, right? Which becomes a popular deck starting from this set into set 4, I believe, right?
Yeah, I would say this is the most important Egghaven card. I don't think any Fairy Tale card really or Fairy Tale deck really functions without Alice, and we'll kind of see when we go to the future classes some of the shortcomings that Haven that the other classes have that Haven does not have, which makes Fairy Tale Haven and Egghaven sort of the best use of Alice.
All right, so I think we kind of all agreement this card is just very, very strong. If you're opening packs, you should be hoping to open one of these.
Oh, yeah. If you get the UR, can you send it to me, please? I would really appreciate it. I'll give you a shout out.
All right, on to our next card here. I guess, Dean, you want to take this one?
Yeah, this is the Chaotic Angel. This is a 7 mana 5/5 with Ward. Activate, banish 3 Fallen Angel cards from your graveyard. Choose an enemy follower, take control of it, and stand it. You can only use this ability once per turn. So basically, it's like Snatch Steal. You get to attack with the card you steal as well. This is, I mean, like, what is this, a meme? This is a meme, right? This is like one of the anime cards where like you steal something, but like what's on the board, like you can't take a forte.
It's a pretty good engine for like a sort of locals type deck, I would say. We'll see coming up here we get some pretty good like workhorse fallen angel cards that are like if you look at JP list, you'll kind of see them snuck in here in just random, pretty normal meta decks,
But like,
But
what's the
definitely
best
I can
thing?
see or go ahead.
Like, I mean, I guess because you steal it and it's untapped and you can attack with it, that's kind of broken. Like if you steal, I don't know, like if there's a Daiwa vodka board, right? Like currently, like you could steal the Daiwa. That's kind of cool.
I mean, if you're playing against or sorry, if you're playing against Uma with this deck, you're losing probably. I mean, it is really slow. It's an extremely slow card because you have to see 3 Fallen Angels right now. We don't have a ton. We will every set after this will get sprinkled in a little bit, but right now we off the top of my head we have some of the cards of this set. We have Olivia. I don't remember if Lucifer is an angel or
Lucifer is
well, on
fallen.
Evo he's fallen, but is he on the base version? Because obviously we
Oh,
don't have
you're right.
So yeah, I think it's a cute little card that definitely you're gonna see, but you're probably gonna kill them before they get it off, to be honest.
Yeah,
Even well, the thing is, like, getting this off doesn't even do anything.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily win you the game immediately, and like it seems like right now from the metas we've been dealing with, turn 7 is usually around when like you should be closing out the game, unless like you both are playing control and going for like
You
longer
steal
game
your opponent's
plans.
Genesis Dragon. What?
You're right. And I don't know how consistent at the end of the day, like, being able to banish 3 fallen angels on turn 7 as you play this, how impactful that's going to be, because your opponent already has to have something on the board and you have to have 3 of the 3 fallen angels in grave. I don't know how consistent that's going to be, that this card's going to be activated right on turn 7.
I can't imagine that the 3 fallen angels is the hard part. It's 7 turns. Like it's I feel like 3 cards in grave after 7 turns should be easy. It's just like, does this do anything? And then I guess, how bad are the fallen angels? Are they like all like understated and like garbage? That's the
No,
other
no, they're
question.
actually all like normally statted cards that you'd see anywhere. Like there's a Goliath that just doesn't affect, and there's a Evo fight or a Evo 2-drop sub archetype type thing that just deals with it. Like some of the other fallen angel cards are just good on their own, and like I said, we'll get to them. But if you see some JP lists around this time, you'll see, whoa, what's this 2-drop neutral card? It's just it's an okay, it's just a pretty okay card, and so I can see if you're building a deck and you're like, well, I'm already playing the Goliath and I'm already playing this 2-drop. I might as well throw this in. But again, it's like I'm super overselling it. Like it's terrible. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. All right, so I think this overall pretty mid card. This is probably, you could build a fun deck for your locals or casual play, but you're probably not winning a regional around this, right? All right, next card here, Prussia.
Alrighty, Rapunzel, 3 mana, 4/5 ward. This card can't attack unless it has a fairy tale counter on it. I really, really like this card. This is the best version. We've seen 2 different cards so far in the game that were always like kind of weak. So the first one was a Prison Dragon, and I kind of like that card as a 3 mana 4/4 drag card. Ward could not attack. It was like, it's kind of cute, Then we got Medro Arden, of course, last set, who was pretty efficient in saying, hey, here's a ward that has value, but you have to trade your resources to kill it. And if you don't, I'm just going to keep using it every turn, and it stops a lot of nice things in the meta. This is the ultimate version of this because it's an overstated follower. It's extremely easy to get fairy tale counters, as we've seen with Alice, and as we'll see with another card here soon. And it's extremely good in what I would imagine the meta is going to be, where I think we will be starting to get even faster than we are right now. And Sword is, spoiler, is going to be pretty good. And I think having extra wards in the game in your deck are pretty good. This is a really hard thing to kill on 3. Pretty much the only thing that kills it is like Serpent's Wrath on 3. So yeah, I really like this card.
Yeah, the stat line and everything, and like the card text seems completely fine. It seems like fairy tale counters are really easy to manipulate and move around, so like the downside of not being able to attack isn't necessarily that big of a downside. It's overstated. I think the big thing at the end, like kind of Prussia is alluding to, is that If I think the 5 health ward, if that is very, very hard for most decks to deal with, especially on curve, which it seems like it is, except for Dragon, because Dragon's the special snowflake. This card is going to be decently solid if you need to like force your opponent to play slower and tell them like answer this, otherwise you're just crashing your guys in for no reason, basically.
Yeah. I also think there's an element of when you build these decks, and I think we'll talk about this probably later or whatever, but when you build some of these fairy tale decks, you you are going to kind of run out of fairy tale cards to put in that are like really really good, and I think this is sort of that like one tier below the like auto includes when you're thinking of a fairy tale deck, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. What are your thoughts, Dean?
Yeah, I mean, big body. I mean, it's gonna probably stick for 5. To me, this is like a man. This feels like Latham. You have to play the Alice on 4 to attack with it. Like, I
No,
feel like this is the kind of
there's another card that gives fairy tale counters, but
yeah. I just feel like this is the kind of card that like you might see in a deck, but like you might also not. Like, was this played? I don't think this was. There's no way. It might have
yeah,
been played.
it was played because
That's
next format it's pretty
it.
hard to. Yeah, it was played. It was played. It was a
I mean,
meta
it's a
card.
blocker. It's a blocker. So like, I guess.
Yeah, I think the stat line is like the big thing, and the fact that like I think the negative side of the card text is like not horrible at the end of the day, right? Is especially if you're including this in some kind of fairy tale deck, right? So that's how I'm feeling about this card. I can totally see it also like being like this card is actually just garbage. But usually I think if in the scenarios where it's garbage is like you're playing it in a deck that can't really like make it into an attacker occasionally. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the idea of it. Say you're going first, and any single deck can do this because these are 2 neutral cards, by the way. But say you go first, you play this on 3. They have to either, if they have an out, do the out. Say they bounce it or something. But if they don't, it immediately transfers your like fairy tale Alice token into 4 damage. And I like
Mhm.
the idea of, hey, here's a overstated thing that's going to be annoying, and you may have an opportunity to kill it right now. But I like the immediate just word play Alice. I want the card draw. I'm just going to transfer this one fairy tale token into 4 damage immediately, and then anything else, I don't care.
Yeah, that's that. I think that's pretty solid overall. All right, next card here. Seraph of Sin, 4-drop 4/4 Fallen Angel has fanfare. Choose an enemy leader or enemy follower, deal 2 damage to it. Then last words, choose a Fallen Angel card in your graveyard with cost 3 or less and put it into your hand. So this comes down to if there is a 3-drop or less that you want to recycle, but that already seems kind of bad. I mean, this card seems pretty mid at best. It's kind of cute that it has the deal 2 damage on play, either to leader or follower. I don't know necessarily that 2 health is going to be really relevant in this meta, because right now it already feels like you have to be hitting for 3 to clear most things that come down on like the first 2 to 3 turns of the game right now. So I don't know how big the 2 damage is. And then I think the last word effect is mostly like what kind of value can you actually get out of it. So the card seems like pretty mediocre at best, but maybe you have some better insight, either of you.
I think this is the worst Fallen Angel card that you can play. Whenever I see lists that are like, oh, I'm gonna do the 7-drop thing, it doesn't even include this guy, man. He's like, yeah, I don't know why all the other cards were normally statted, and this guy, like, he needs to at least be a 4/5. I know he does 2 damage, but like every class has a better 4 mana play to do right now, like every single one.
Yeah.
And this guy needs to be a 4/5, even a 5/5. I'm fine with this thing being a dragon token and it deals 2 damage because you're never going to play any of the other cards really anyway.
Would it be too
4
strong
mana.
if it did 2 damage to board and face?
That's a good question. It would be no, I don't think so. I still don't think you'd play it because like Kit said, there's not a lot of 2 health things like in the meta.
Yeah.
And unless Sword's Goblin stuck around for 4 turns, you're probably just fucking dead anyway. But
Yeah,
We're
he
playing a Fallen
probably
Angel
lost
deck,
the
so probably did.
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, card seems pretty not that great. You have nothing else to add, right, Dean?
No, the card's kind of shit.
Yeah. All right, on to you, Dean. Here.
Oh, we're at Garul, the Seraphic Leo. This is an anime card. 4 mana, 2/3, evolve for 1. Fanfare. You may put a neutral follower from your hand onto the field that costs X or less. X is your maximum play point, and it gains at the start of your end phase. Put this card on the bottom of your deck. Broken. And then on evolve, you get to choose another one of your neutral followers, return it to your hand. So the idea is you get to like cheat something out, plus have the 2/3, cheat out, and then you get to bounce it back. So you get to recur some. I don't know. What are you supposed to do? Gilgamesh. You're supposed to summon Gilgamesh for 4 mana, attack, and then bounce him back, and then Gilgamesh them again on the following turn. Not a whole lot of other things. I mean, you could do with Alice, right? Like this is like an Alice thing. You can summon Alice, bounce her back. No, Alice only pluses. Yeah, Alice only pluses on Evo.
Yeah.
You could summon Bahamut, kill your own card, and then lose your Bahamut. That's kind of cool.
Turn 10.
Turn 9.
Lucifer is a card that could be cheated out with this as well, right? I guess.
And then you bounce him back, so then he doesn't get his effect.
You're right.
And then, you know, Gilgamesh is kind of like the best thing. On turn 8, you can summon 2 Gilgameshes for that's 12 storm damage.
Wow, your hand, yo, what are you doing? Yeah, I don't know.
Look, yeah, that's like you can have 3 other cards in hand. Okay, look, while you're assembling your combo, you play on a small hand. It's simple as.
I'm sad about this card because I think it took the design space of Sahakwiel, if you guys remember that card from Digital. And this card's just so much worse than that. And then they eventually made it because they realized, wow, this card's like unplayable garbage. It's so bad. And also just right now in the game, we don't have a lot of on-play effects that this would be good with. Like if we had, like next set we get Israfil. But if we had like crazy cards that like on play, you know, like Bahamut, right?
Deal 6 face damage, little Gilgamesh, yeah.
But you have to be at the turn, so it's like, why don't I just play the card anyway? You know,
because you can
just play
do 2 of them. It's cheaper.
If your hand is 4, if you have 4, yeah, no, you got it though. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not buying that.
Oh man. One thing that's unfortunate about this card is like you can't like force last word effects, right? Because you bottom deck the card, which sucks. Which I guess you were kind of talking about, right? That's like the worst part about this card. It's like it is very cute. I kind of like how it's like designed, but it's definitely doesn't seem very strong right now.
No.
Yeah.
Turn 10, 2 flaming glasses, 14 damage.
I'm already watching my teammates on the team tournament after. I mean, turn 10, bro. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
Oh,
see.
Man.
You'll all see.
All right, I believe in you.
Listen, he's gonna play dragon, ramp up like crazy just to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like if you just played Bahamut and evoed him, I just have no way to kill 11/11. You know?
Oh man. All right, on to the next card here.
Alrighty, Actress Faria, one of the classic Rage Bahamut characters. She's a 1 mana 2/2, and you guys know how much I love my 1 mana cards. And act this card, choose another one of your Fairy Tale followers, and put a Fairy Tale counter on it. So this card is super insane. I love this card. I think this is perhaps the second best Fairy Tale card. I don't think a lot of the Fairy Tale stuff would work with just Alice. And it being a goblin, fully statted, 1-drop. Also for like aggro decks, we have access to another goblin, which is nice, which is something a lot of decks were missing. And then also her ability to, like I was talking about with Rapunzel, right, is, hey, I developed this thing for 3. Next turn, I play 1 play point, converts to 4 damage. And there's a Haven card where it's like, hey, 1 play point, convert this to 2 damage, you know, on top of just being a goblin body, you know. I think this card's really, really, really insane.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Like the fact that it's literally statted as a goblin with an effect that's already like beneficial for most fairy tale decks means that the card's already really good. And from like the little I saw on Twitter during that time frame for like decks that were winning, I mean I assume this is in Haven as well. Like everyone was playing this card. If they had any fairy tale stuff going on, it just seems like a very solid one drop overall. Like how could you could complain about this card, right?
Yeah, I think another thing is like she enables a lot of smaller fairy tale packages, like we saw with the World Champion Forest list. He wasn't playing Alice, but he was playing this in a couple of the good Forest fairy tale cards, and just going, hey, here's a goblin, but also like if I need this, I can convert this to whatever else I need. Like there's a card that deals 3 damage to something and stuff like that. So she's a very very flexible card, and I think one of those cards where on the surface, um, you might not realize like how impactful this card really is. I think this card really ties the deck together. Her and Alice really
I could
tie any
see
fairy
this
tale.
card, like especially you talking about the forest list. I can see how this card can be insane in forest. Like
Yeah,
at the first glance, you don't really, if you don't think about it too much, you're like, okay, whatever. But like technically, you can use this card not only to set up fairy tale counters on cards you need it, but bouncing it back to hand to set up combo and things like that. You
yeah,
know, is just it seems like a very strong lines of play there
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of your only generators for tokens, right?
or counters,
Like
right? Yeah,
there's not a ton of there's not a lot of cards to get counters, right?
Yeah, so the way it seems to work is um, Alice and this are like the two only neutral cards that generate tokens for other cards, but some Haven cards and a couple of the Force cards, they generate their own tokens by doing something or coming into play with from outside your hand and stuff like that. But yeah, these are the two cards that are going to be able to sort of manage and cheat the fairy tale
I
tokens
mean,
in
and
ways.
back in my day, this was broken. These were the two faces of
Yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah,
format. So, they're back.
yeah.
all right, next card here. Is it Dean or is it me? I already forgot.
I think it's you.
Okay. Humpty Dumpty, the entire deck based around this dude right here. It's a 3-drop, 3/3, evolves for free. But what do we get here out of it? We get Humpty Dumpty Evolved, which is a 4/4 follower. On Evo, it deals 5 damage to all followers. So that includes your own followers. And or is it all others? Or does it kill itself when you Evo? Let me
Yeah, it kills itself.
No,
It kills
it
itself.
it
Oh, it
kills
does.
itself.
Awesome. I love this. And then deal 3 damage to all enemy leaders, and then discard all cards in your hand. All right, listen, I don't have the exact knowledge of how the Humpty Dumpty deck exactly works, other than you generate a lot of your cards into your EX area, and you're basically playing it out of your EX area. So I'm going to let you guys take care of exactly reading this
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, that's the thing is like Alice lets you have like extra cards. And then is it in this set or is it in future sets? No, Explosion's in this set. Okay,
It is
yeah.
in this set, yeah.
And basically you just Humpty Dumpty like a couple times in a row. Your opponent never has a board because AoE 5 kills everything all the time. It's conflag on a 3-mana body, and it's just pushing face damage continuously. And then you Alice and you get like 2 more Humpty Dumpties or like an explosion of Humpty Dumpty, and you just burn your opponent out in like 5 turns while board wiping them continuously. And there's like nothing they can do. It's really gross.
I love
I
it.
think it's really funny. I think it's really funny that they took a meme card and then they made it like broken.
Yeah.
Like this card,
Yeah.
this card was like turbo cheeks
Yeah.
in digital. But in like physical, they're like, oh yeah, we gotta nerf the good cards, right? We can't have
Yeah.
good old staples being good. But Humpty Dumpty, what if we made that the strongest card in the game?
I don't think it's
Because yeah,
okay.
well, I mean, it's like an entire archetype, and this card
Well, but it's
single-handedly invalidates Uma. This
no.
card,
I mean,
I have
definitely
watched.
not.
I remember watching in Japan Uma players playing against the like Explosion deck, and it was like they just set up their board, and then their board is gone. And they go, oh, and like just like a look of sadness because they can never hold the board against this deck.
If it killed Uma, we wouldn't have had every single player that went to the World Championships in this meta. Every single player bring Uma as one of their decks. And only
I felt like
one
maybe
Egghaven got to top 8 in that meta. It definitely
maybe it
does
was
not.
set 4 meta. Maybe it was set 4 meta when I was going
Set
around.
4
But I
meta,
just
yeah.
remember
Set 4 meta because they get another card that makes this deck completely
is it the tin can?
brainless. Like it's Andromeda. No,
Okay.
Tin Soldier's in here. It's Andromeda.
Okay. I didn't know. I just know that I watched like this being played into Uma, and I felt like Uma was not having a good time into the continuous AoE fives. Uh Maybe it is like, once another card comes out and gets a little more consistent, that's when that happens. But the AoE 5 multiple turns in a row is it's pretty abrasive for a lot of decks to deal with.
Yeah. I think the reason this card is good is, and we'll see it when we uh, show some of the other cards in the classes, but the reason this card is usable and good is because Haven has some really broken value engines outside of just being able to play Alice that are really good with this card, and also it's sort of that additive effect of Haven also gets cards that do affect damage as well. So you're having to deal with the tin. I forgot what his name is, but also the Humpty Dumpty and a ton of other stuff. Also, its ability to build a board and play that game as well makes this deck really strong. Where it's very flexible deck, and this is one of the reasons it's so flexible. It's like, hey, this is the game where I need to kill your entire board and never let you have a board. Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty. We're good to go. Hey, this is the game where I need to. You're not going to be able to clear my board too much. Here we, curve out 1, 2. For example, Rapunzel, Alice. We got it. And I think you'll see that in a forest fairy tale that like the Beauty and the Beast, for example, they play Egg or Humpty Dumpty, but it's not too good. It's honestly not too good in a deck that's not Haven, and we'll see that soon. But I think it's a little overrated because you are discarding your hand, right? Because say I blow up an Uma board, I better have hit an Alice or a Tea Time, or I'm probably going to lose the game because I draw it off the top for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I
I,
mean, it
I
does have its downsides, but like
yeah.
once you've got the EX area filled, that's like when it becomes like really gross to watch.
Yeah, I think one thing too is like I've talked a lot with other players who've been really excited to play Humpty Dumpty and so forth. And the little I have seen in match videos and stuff like this is I think Humpty Dumpty, even though it seems very powerful, it is a deck that takes a lot of finesse to pilot very well consistently. And I think like before the next set, this deck has some consistency issues, but then kind of like how you were alluding to is in set 4 is when it gets a little bit better, right? And then that's when like Humpty Dumpty really shines. So if you're taking,
Yeah, I would.
if you're taking Humpty Dumpty now in the initial build, it's probably going to be like you got to be a very good pilot and have very good like draws, basically, right?
Yeah, I would say that set 3 Egg Haven, and obviously this is just my opinion, is going to have a couple different builds and is definitely going to be more open to different ways to play the deck and ways to build the deck. Set 4 hit him in the fucking head, like the more it's like just where like all the finesse is gone. No, that's not true. That's an over exaggeration. But set 4 really makes this deck super obscenely powerful. Right now it is, but you do have to practice the deck a lot. It's definitely not like any other Shadowverse deck that we've had so far.
All right, on to the next card here, Dean.
Okay, Inverted Wings. Oh, this card's broken. 1 mana spell. Spell. You get to choose one of the following. You either discard an angel card from your hand, choose an enemy follower, destroy it, or discard a fallen angel card from your hand, heal 3, draw a card. Damn, 2 for 1 removal, but at 1 mana. And it fills your grave. This is Broken in Abyss. I mean, this card is like kind of mid, right? Is this card good?
No,
It's so hard to tell.
because there has to be other good angel and
You
fallen angel
always
cards.
-1 on it, or you -2.
Or you -2.
What a good card.
You're right.
Yeah, this card is it's a card. I mean,
You're right. It is the cardiest card that ever card.
Yeah. If they made it, a lot of these cards, like, and we'll get, it's the next couple cards here, but A lot of the Fallen Angel cards is so funny because it's like they made two like, whoa, these are pretty good. These are pretty, usable in a lot of decks. And then they didn't commit. Like if this was quick, you still have to play terrible cards, but like there's a reason to play the terrible cards.
You would,
If this was quick and you could destroy it, I think it'd be fine because you have to have the assumption that you're already playing bad cards because there's not a lot of good angel cards, like normal angel cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it works like other games where it's like Fallen Angel counts as angel. I don't.
no,
think
no, it literally specifically says.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this card seems kind of cute. It doesn't seem very strong, and especially if there's nothing that synergizes with like these cards being discarded, gain extra effects or anything like that. So yeah, seems pretty
And is a
mid at
valuable
best.
resource. You don't want to go -2 to kill a card.
True.
Discard angel, fallen angel, dragon? Question mark.
All right, next card.
Even more bricky. Yeah.
Here you go.
I like it.
All right. Angel of Darkness, 3 mana, 3/4. Activate this card and put in Fallen Angel follower into your graveyard. Choose an enemy follower, deal 4 damage to it. Whoa, I have always misread this card. Yeah, this card is terrible. There is only one good. Wow, damn. There is only one good Fallen Angel card. Wow, this card is terrible.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought this was just it did it. It was just a got Goliath that dealt 4 damage. That you had to act it.
Yeah, this card is not good. I think we're all in agreement here. Dean, you have anything to add?
No, it's a bad card.
Yeah, that was my bad. I definitely hyped up. Wow, yeah.
All right, next card here. Harbinger of the Night, 2-drop, 2/2 Fallen Angel, evolves for 1. Fanfare. Choose an enemy follower, deal 1 damage to it. The Evo here is a 3/3, and it has unevolved, deal 1 damage to all enemy leaders. This is kind of a cute card. I don't know how good it is though. It is cute.
I think if you think back to some of the good decks that have been in the formats we've had, a lot of decks have these 2 mana 2/2s that evolve for 1, and I really like this sub sort of type of cards that we've gotten in this game. I think this is one of the better ones. Being able to have a 3/3 on turn 2 is really strong. Also, when we think about, hey, if there's aggressive stuff in the meta, hey, if I could have played this in this meta that we're in right now with Uma, could you imagine killing your Shinko Windies, killing your Maze on turn 2 going first,
Yeah.
I really like this card. I think it's a very flexible card. It's not going to be in every deck, but since it's a neutral card, yeah, I like cards like this that open up options for like, hey, I'm really running into a ton of aggro stuff that's 1 mana, 1 health things. Let me play this, kill it, and then also, hey, Evo, deal 1 damage, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably pretty good in aggro. Actually, this is like insane at aggro this, right? Like what? Like you just cut, or you have like a second version of the what's her name, Hedonist.
Yeah, sorta.
Yeah.
I like this card. I like how you explained it too. I do agree. Like I found that sweet spot too, where it's like you have a 3/3 on 2. It's like it's just annoying enough to like it's hard for your opponent to remove sometimes without like giving up their entire turn if they really want to get rid of a 3/3. And the on play effect is like not the best thing in the world, but it comes up occasionally where people are playing these 1 health followers that you get to ping off and remove from the board, like they're 1-drops, right? Like you said, like alluded to, Sheikah Windy, things like that just are solid followers that have 1 health, and you can just be like, boop, you're gone, Evo, and then you get an extra damage in, and now you have this 3/3 on board that's like, a little bit sticky. It's probably going to be around for 1 more turn at least, so it can usually get in for a swing for 3 or trade into something else to remove it. Anything to add, Dean?
I don't value the ping one as much, but you guys like it. I can see it.
Yeah. I think it's just like an option since it's a neutral. If this was in a class, you'd never play this.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's just a neutral, like, hey, like, and we get that in digital a lot, not to, ride my dinosaur in, but it is a type of, hey, here's like a Dark Angel, Fallen Angel, whatever, that like does a thing that if the meta evolves into, you might need,
Oh, in the Fallen Angel deck, this is insane. However,
all right, next card here.
Is it my turn finally? It is.
Yeah.
Explosion. 3 mana spell. This is the strongest card ever printed. Deals X damage to all followers and all enemy leaders. X is the total number of explosions and Humpty Dumptys in your graveyard +1. You do not count this card. Yeah, so it starts off 1 damage, but if you've played Humpty Dumpty and evolved it right, or maybe gotten rid of some in some way, this can scale to be up to 6 damage for 3 mana. 6 face damage. And this is kind of like what makes the deck is like you get a couple of these in the EX area, you cash in like a Humpty Dumpty or two, and you just like start sending this in. It's board wiping, it's pushing face damage. This is really how the deck actually closes the game. I know I'm probably like overhyping this card, but it is quite disgusting. At least when I watched this get played, this was a pretty disgusting card.
Yeah, it's a really good card. It is like I alluded to when we talked about the first time, or Humpty Dumpty himself. It is really pretty only playable in Haven because they get extra um uh, engines outside of Alice to draw cards, generate cards, put cards in the EX area. Like you don't see this in, for example, Beauty and the Beast forest because they just don't have enough cards that draw fairy tales or put fairy tales in the EX area that you can play a brick card that doesn't really do anything until there's at least 2 Humpty Dumptys or explosions in the graveyard. But it is obviously a really good card on top of having Humpty Dumpty.
Yep, I think you guys kind of all nailed it on the head here. The card gets like out of control in like the way you close out a lot of games. I watched videos where Egg Haven is just like, yeah, explosion, all right, good game. Like, move next game, please, because like the damage output starts getting absurd, especially after already like evoing a couple Humpty Dumptys and so forth, right?
Yeah.
All right, that kind of wraps up our overview for neutral fall, or not neutral falls, but like the neutral craft or whatever we're going to call this neutral. Next video that should be out should be forest, and we forgot to mention this right in the beginning, so I'm going to include it right now. Is, as always, thank you so much to the Shadowverse Evolved community Discord. I believe they are the ones who curate this document on Google Docs, and keep everything up to date with translations for everyone to get to. And because they already categorized everything into one document and a simple place for us to grab and work off of, makes it a lot easier for us to make these videos. So as always, thank you so much to the Shadowverse Evolved community that manages this. We appreciate it a lot. You guys have any last minute shout outs here?
I don't know. Please vote Billy Wagner into the Hall of Fame, please. Thank you.
All right, with that, guys, we'll see you guys in the forest video next. Later, everyone.
Bye-bye.